All right, welcome to this Hangout. What is it? March 2016 Patreon Hangout. Looks like we've got Chris and Ananda in here tonight. I know Rich is on his way, so I'm just gonna start working on these little things that These are precast armatures I'm gonna make, so I need to tab them. Feel free to turn your mics on and ask questions or chit chat or whatever, guys. And you guys can hear me okay still?
I can hear you.
Good job. Okay, cool. So how's everybody doing tonight? Find the right tab. Chris is sleepy. These are some old tabs that I got from Reaper when I used to work for them. See if I saw. Yeah, here we go. I don't know if this will show up on camera, but I got sick of setting up my own all the time just out of green stuff. Although the funny thing is I did start doing that again because I just ran out. I thought I did at least. But they have Reaper pre-stamped in it. I don't know if yeah, a little bit you can see it. So I just took one and I puttied over it, and then I just cast it myself. And so I've got a bunch of blank ones now. These ones are nice because they're pre-sized, but they're metal, so they're good and strong. Sometimes when you make your own out of the green stuff or the Procreate, even when you add in a hardener like Aves, it can be a bit flimsy. So, okay. So these are two armatures I'm making. Like I said, I've got a male and a female here, and this is for precast armatures done in the typical scale I work in, which is about 35 millimeters to the top of the head. Get this out here real quick. All right. So male's 34 to the top of the armature, and the female I think is 33. Yeah, so basically what this will do is when I cast these up, they'll be made out of pewter, and that leaves about a millimeter of space to add material for the skull and everything. And I could have had it go all the way to the top, but sometimes you want to have a little bit of space to work with even in that direction. Otherwise, you could just make the putty go flush. But so that's why they're just a tad short there. Hey, quick question. How are you guys, what's the interface you're seeing and typing in to make it pop up on your face in the chat window? In the video window, I should say. I think I just see it. There's a chat thing right there. Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah, Ananda. When I didn't have the chat window selected, I just picked it. It was making it pop up on the screen, which was kind of cool. But good, now I can see it, so I have a record of in case I'm not looking over at the camera at that time, or the video at that time. So, anyways. Okay. I actually have to do a little bit of filing on these guys still. On their hands, they're pretty well. I made it a nice kind of a square shape for all the limbs, so it's not perfectly rounded, and that just makes it a little easier for the pliers to grab onto and kind of help you understand and see the facings of the different limbs and stuff. So I just want to do that with the hands as well. They're still rounded. I want to do a video on using precast armatures in the future. They're very handy. I don't use them a lot because sometimes they can be a little difficult to, yeah, I hear ya. You don't have to be in the main chat interface anymore, Chris, if you don't want to. You can just chat in this thing here. That way everybody in the feed can, or at least us, anybody that's on the chat can see it, and or the video, the Hangout. Yeah, I'm still not sure what to call the different terms and stuff. But like I said, you're more than welcome to turn on your mic and talk. But if you prefer to chat, I'll just try and look over there every now and then, see what you guys are saying, and keep answering your questions. So, but anyways, precast armatures are very nice, especially when you're learning. It saves a lot of time on trying to get the proportions right. You have something that's correct from the beginning, and then you can just worry about learning to handle the putty, which is a pretty big challenge in and of itself. So I'm almost done with the next video, the putty one. Speaking of that, I'm probably going to break it up into a couple segments because it was turning out much longer than I thought. That, or I just need to not be so chatty when I'm talking. But I'll put them all out in quick succession. I'm not going to wait like every couple weeks. Probably do one every week or every couple days as I get them separately edited. And then we can finally move on to the next topic, which I think the next one in line that was voted on was to sculpt. I think it was a face in using putty. So I've got a lot of tutorials where I've sculpted with Fimo, various parts and stuff, including the face. So I probably won't do a ton of tutorials on sculpting with putty, but a face would be a really, really good one to do because it's got a lot of intricacies to it, and basically if you can get good at sculpting faces with putty, you should be able to sculpt anything with putty because usually you can do just a little bit here and there around the whole body. But with the face, there's a lot that it's helpful to be able to do in one go, in one sitting, if you will. Hey, Rich is here. I think his mic isn't hooked up yet. Any thoughts about any mold making tutorials? Yes, and actually, I was mentioning that I made these little tabs myself. It's with a special kit that I got several years ago called Vulcamold, and so I will the video about mold making. There's two parts. One, I will do a video using that so you can see, which is the same process used by real mold makers, but this is just in a kind of an at-home kit that I think you can still get, and it's very cool. But also I live close by to the mold maker that I use professionally, and I want to see if I can get them to come on camera for an interview and show off a little bit of their process. So be super, super helpful to everybody and a real treat to see. I can guarantee you that. I remember when I first went over there, it was just amazing. But I've always loved learning about production and seeing all that sort of thing. Do you know much about mold making, Ananda? Are you pretty new to all this? Have you done much sculpting? Ah, cool. What material are you starting with? Are you think you're gonna try and do putty sculpting? Or are you gonna go for Fimo or bees putty? By the way, since nobody that will watch this video later can see what's being typed, Ananda said that she's very new and has been sculpting for about a month. Cool. Putty and clay. That's where I'm at too. You got lots to show this time, Rich? It sounded like you did.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear. Yeah, I didn't know if I was just getting some feedback for a second because I could hear some bumping, but yep, I can hear you fine.
Yes. So
Okay.
I've been very, very, very busy sculpting. I'm just getting the links so I can post them.
Cool.
Okay.
No problem, Ananda. Am I pronouncing it right now?
Okay.
Are you getting allergies or a cold too?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. That's been going around here. Let's see, that needs to be a little shorter.
All right. So what I have, I'm post the link now. The thing. Basically, what happened was,
All right.
this is only part of what I was doing since our last hangout, but I had 4 friends who all have birthdays around the same time, and I was trying to figure out what to get them, and they play D&D together, and when they give gifts to each other, they're like really special gifts, like they have more meaning. Like no gift was just oh, I bought this. It was like, oh no, this was the gift I got you because remember that time when we were in this place or whatever. So and the last time we all got together was my birthday, so they did a really nice birthday thing for me. So I was trying to think, what could I get them that would, show how much I appreciated what they did for me. And I was searching Amazon and stuff, and I couldn't come up with anything. So then I've been on this kick recently, like to sort of like endurance, to like push myself. So then I said, hey, what if I sculpted a miniature for all 4 of them, since they all play D&D and they use miniatures? And so I just thought it out, and then within like a span of about 5 days, I fully, from nothing, sculpted and casted in plastic 4 miniatures.
Oh, wow.
So that's what these pictures are here from that link.
There, I finally figured out where I need to go to screen share. Okay.
So yeah, and I took lots of pictures to show the whole process of everything. But it's really, really
there we go.
A good learning experience for me, and a real good challenge to see, like, how much I could get done. It was just crazy, and I was doing this like after work, so I would come home from work, and I would be tired. But like I mentioned in the email, I've been a little addicted recently. So, and the reason I know I'm addicted is because I'll be dead tired, like just can't even keep my eyes open. And I was sitting here, I was like, well, let me just put a little piece of clay on this sculpture. And then 2 hours later, I'm wide awake sculpting, and I was like, "Holy crap! I overcame the sleepiness." So that's what I knew. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm really crazy about this now."
So, and you're using Fimo now, right?
So these miniatures were done with Fimo.
Yeah, it looked like it. Okay, cool.
I changed. I used remember I was using the champagne colored one. I mixed a new, because I have a whole bunch of Fimo colors that I got off of eBay a long time ago. So I decided to mix a more gray color.
Yeah.
So I mixed a couple and was trying a different clay. And that was also a learning experience because clay was super duper hard, and then I used mineral oil to soften it. But then I used too much. It was all sticky and totally unusable.
Wow.
And then I found a YouTube vid somewhere about how to leach the oil out of it. So then I did that, and it worked out perfect. The clay
Cool.
was completely restored. This is a whole bunch of stuff I was learning in like the span of 5 days, all because I kept doing all this crazy stuff.
Well, that's very good too. It's cool that you pushed through and did so much so fast.
Yeah,
You learn a lot when you give yourself a time constraint. Sometimes when you sit and dwell, you you don't figure anything out because you're too busy worrying about
right.
whether it's right or wrong. If you just make a decision, even if it's the wrong one, you figure it out that that's not the right way to go. So.
Yeah, it was I wasn't with these. I wasn't really concerned about like really polished miniatures.
Hmm.
It was more about have each miniature, even if it's a little rough, but I needed one element on the miniature to convey to the person who it was going to.
Ah.
So like the bear you saw, the
Hmm.
guy who plays D&D, he plays a guy who can shape change into a bear.
Hmm.
So it was pretty easy to come up with like a bear character for him. And then
Yeah.
the other person is the actual DM. So this one here
Ah.
gonna be was like a hooded mysterious person, and he's emerging from an old book. As you go through, you'll see
Okay.
the
I really like the smoke tendrils and stuff you've done there. It's very nice.
thanks.
And you did so for the hood there, just so everybody knows. Did you make a sheet of
Yes, I
clay and
learned.
lay it on? Yep.
I've been learning all. I've acquired new tools and learning different techniques for
Hmm.
achieving different effects. So I have a clay roller over here, and yeah, I've been doing all kinds of stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, it makes things like that a lot easier, and you can always, even if it creates like a hole or a cavity underneath, if you're going to cast it, you
Hmm.
can always, after it's cooked, jam putty in there and stuff to fill
Yeah,
it up. Ah, now he's got some clothes. So 5 days, was it 4 or 5 miniatures?
4 miniatures in almost four
And this,
days. So it
and
was a
after
little
work,
over.
only working after work. Oh yeah, there, that's
Yeah,
a cool book. Yeah,
yeah, only after work.
that's a cool concept. All right, here's the third one.
So a couple of the miniatures were a little more ambitious than I could actually pull off with the time I had. So
Hmm.
when I ran into problems, I didn't have the time to rework them or resculpt them. So I kind of had to make do with what I had or adjust it or just rethink the idea. So it was crazy.
You can see all my tabs. Yeah, this is sorry, I was just reading Ananda's comment. Who else is looking at all my tabs and judging me? I this is actually a smaller amount than I have had. I should probably close them down. Anyways, okay, so back to the book.
Thanks, Ananda. I'm sorry. I didn't read all the comments over there. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, guys.
Oh, there we go. Let's see. That's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
what you see here, everybody else is viewing. Or what did you talk about, Rich? Talk about what you did here.
So for this character, the person who this was for, she's a huge Batman fan,
Uh,
and like she has a whole room dedicated to Batman and all kinds of stuff. So her character in the D&D game is someone who they created. The DM worked with her and created this whole religion based around the bat. So what I was creating was for her was her character who has a cloak, but the cloak is semi like a real giant bat wing made of like real a giant bat
mm.
wing or whatever. So I was trying to sculpt the bat wing for that. Uh, this was like the most ambitious one, and I just didn't have the time to
Yeah.
pull. I got it as far as I could, but then like because I was going so fast, I wasn't properly building up the clay, so it had trouble staying together and things like that. But it was a good learning experience.
Oh, did that get small? There we go. Oops, wrong way. Oh, okay. Very cool. Oh, this one won't load. There we go. This is
So
after they all baked.
so after I casted the molds, the
Mhm.
miniatures didn't survive.
That happens.
Unfortunately, they didn't survive because of the clay and like I said, they weren't all properly built up. Like
Hmm.
the clay wasn't properly really
Right.
put together, so the areas that were weak fell apart and things
Hmm.
like that. So that was also a major learning thing I learned about why I have to make when sculpting to build up certain areas the correct
Hmm.
way.
And
Um,
Fimo and clay, polyclay, is more fragile than the putties, than the green stuff or the Procreate.
yeah, yeah,
So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, you can make it more durable.
yeah.
So these are the castings.
So these are the actual cast, yeah, the
Well,
resin.
but that's the cool thing. You got a good cavity out of it, and that's really what matters. I mean, it's good to have your original survive and whatnot, but as long as you get a good cast.
Yeah. So
This,
these were actually the second cast
oh.
so I cast for them and then I gave them their copies and when I got back home I then recast them again for myself.
Hmm.
So
It's pretty cool. I like this one.
so you see where I
That
tried
is
to
very
recover
ambitious.
recover the wing.
Yeah.
She was happy I gave her a nice body.
Oops. So you did resin drop casts,
I
or
have
is it?
the pressure pot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I just
Cool. Good photos of everything too. Very
thanks.
sharp.
That was my neighborhood. The cops going by.
Oh yeah, now I'm pretty quiet out here in the sticks. So what's this character? I don't remember if we saw this one.
Yeah, that one I actually that was towards the end when I was rushing so much I actually
Ah,
forgot to take more pictures of her. But she's
gotcha.
like her character, the player is into like really likes cats, and
Hmm.
there's a little bit of a thing like cat stuff with her character. So it was supposed to be like if
Right.
you remember the original Armature, it was
Hmm.
more like she was
Cat leaning
dashing,
for, yeah, yeah.
but it didn't cast well, so the
Ah,
feet were totally messed up. So again, another
awesome.
side effect of rushing and trying to get so much done in such a short
Yeah.
time.
Well, these are looking really good,
Yeah,
Rich. And yeah, I mean especially for the amount of time you put in. I mean, I know you said they're quick and rough, but they're coming along very nicely and with a little more time you surely could have polished them
yeah,
up a lot
yeah,
more. But
definitely.
you did not have a lot of time and I mean, I don't know, mine would have been much tighter if I with that short amount of time. Very cool. Yeah, I was gonna say on the this is a big thing that'll be helpful for you. And some of like the bear, and some it doesn't matter as much. But as you work more, you'll get better at getting the. I wish you guys could see my mouse tracing over this. You can make thinner layers of green stuff on the pieces, which just gives you
Yeah,
so much more variance in the thick or thin areas. And also, that doesn't squish around as much. It tends to be a little more stable.
Yeah,
But
some of them I actually ended up trimming off the green stuff off
oh
the
yeah,
and stuff as I was
yeah.
working because they were coming out too thick.
Hmm. That's awesome, man. So what's next on your
All
plate?
right. So the other thing I've also been working on is I mentioned this a little last hangout. So I've also been looking at sculpting larger size things like a 10-inch and stuff like that. So I just have some photos of a work in progress of a 10-inch sculpt that I'm
Oh
working on.
wow, big one.
And this also I have a bunch of pictures of like building the armature and stuff. And it's being designed so that it can be taken apart so it'll for casting later. So the armature comes in parts and things like that.
Let's see. This one. There, I've hidden my tabs now. Ooh, yeah. Good looking muscle. So let me see. Yeah, you got some tinfoil buildup. Is that milliput?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good material, everyone. It's you can get it at most craft stores, and it cures. I don't know how fast it cures actually, but I know it cures very hard, which is really good because then you get a nice solid foundation, and I believe for the amount you get, it's fairly economical too.
Yeah, I still have the same batch that I
Yeah.
originally bought. I don't. It doesn't seem to. It seems to
Hmm.
last pretty good.
And then you've bulked it up with tinfoil as well. That's a great filler that people use because you don't need a huge, super thick layer of clay when you're working this large. So you want to build up a lot of material underneath to save yourself the cost and everything. So what did you say this is for?
This is just a character I drew, and then I'm just sketching it for like a model kit kind of idea.
Oops, I'm gonna go through
So
this way. Yeah, it looks really cool. I have actually only ever done one, one figure anywhere close to this size.
mm,
It was fun, but it's yeah, it's a very different animal in some ways.
yeah, it's it
Very
definitely
nice
takes a
rig.
lot longer.
Yeah, it does. It's weird too. I mean, I don't know. It just takes time to blend. I mean, just simple things that you could be done really fast with on a miniature just takes time because there's just so much more area and material
Mm.
you have to work up. Did
And I
your framing ever come loose at all, or did it stay pretty
no,
stable?
it's
Cool.
solid. It's tight.
I have pieces that I bought to build this almost as the exact same frame. I wonder if we came across the same tutorial at some point. And I'm
Probably.
glad it looks like it's working great.
Yeah. I modified it a little bit to give me a
Hmm.
couple of more adjustability.
Hmm.
But
Great expression on the face.
thanks. Yeah, I've gone back to my anatomy books, and
Hmm.
I have a I don't know the proper way to pronounce it. Ecorche statue, the anatomy statue here.
Do you have it on your video?
Yeah, I can.
I'll flip over to you real quick. I think I have to. Oh yeah, there we go.
So it's
Oh,
one of
nice.
these. Um, this one actually came from a. I can't zoom out anymore. I'll
No, that's
send the
fine.
link of where I got it from.
Cool.
Uh, but it's really cool because the parts can come off. They're magnetic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let's see.
I saw a pretty interesting one of those on Kickstarter not too long ago, where he did it was split in half. I mean, it was all
Hmm.
together, but it had one side was regular, organic anatomy, and the other side he showed the exact same musculature, but it was all flat, planar. So it really helped you see and understand like how light would hit the general shapes of the area. It was pretty cool. Oh, we can see my mouse. I just realized. That's cool. Okay, keep looking through this. I do have a large armature that I built for I was gonna make a big goblin, and I've had it for like 10 years now. I never put anything but tinfoil on it. Maybe I'll do it someday. So what's the extra bit of material of wire coming out of his head? Is that
Oh,
excess wire or is that for a hair
a
element?
handle to hold
And
the.
oh, okay. You have to stabilize everything a lot more.
Yeah,
Oh, I
so
see,
like
because you totally removed it from the body. Yeah,
right.
cool.
So you'll see also on the arms and legs there are extra handles sticking out, and
Ah,
that's what you use to pull them
interesting.
off and on without having to mess it. Yeah, you can see those.
Wow,
It was something I learned all from this the same person.
very cool. Yeah, that's a big challenge that I mean that, with these larger figures is you have to stabilize them more. Very cool.
Yeah. Here's a. I just posted a link to the video of this of the model that I bought.
All right. Oops. Screen share. Screen share. There. XM Studios. Oh, I see. So it has different heads and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And he has YouTube videos showing the guy's name, Julian Core.
Hmm.
He has YouTube videos showing his whole process for actually building it. It's like 80 or 90 videos. I think he worked
So,
on it for like 2 years or something
wow,
like that.
that's crazy. Whoop.
Yeah,
That's pretty funny.
that's my wife's favorite part of the statue.
Wow. So I wonder if he's using the wax, well, some wax material. It looks like it might be. It's
So the
probably how
whole
he's able to touch it without.
he did the whole thing with Super Sculpey,
Really? Wow.
except for the alternate head, the Hercules head, he did with in wax.
Very cool. Skipping ahead a little bit. Wow, those hands are crazy.
Yeah, yeah, he's ridiculous. His
He does
and
have.
speaking of wax, I've been messing around
Yeah.
with that also.
I'm gonna turn the sound off. There we go. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Is it Castelline or a different kind?
uh, I'm using Chavant.
Okay.
I've got Chavant, and then a coworker of mine kept talking about this CX5. It's like a newer. This guy created it, had a Kickstarter, and now sells it, and it's pretty crazy. It's like it's literally like super hard, like it's like plastic, but when you apply heat to it, it becomes malleable like clay.
Hmm.
And then if you apply even more, it then becomes like a liquid. So
Wow.
it's like extremely versatile. Like, and then when it's hard, you can actually machine with it. It's like the craziest material I've seen.
Awesome, Chris. What are you gonna start sculpting? Chris said we've inspired him. He's gonna
Yeah, I just
start
saw that.
putting clay on there. I'm working on some precast armatures right now that I have to cast, but I'm preparing them to be cast.
Oh, okay. What for yourself or for?
For myself, I'll probably sell them, but I wanted to do some tutorials as well about using them and So these are sized to the 35 millimeter scale that I typically work in, which is just a
You're
little bit
filing
bigger than most.
the green stuff.
Yeah, so this is I use my my hard green stuff mix, which I'll talk about in the video that's coming out soon, which is green stuff mixed with Abe's epoxy sculpt. And because as I'll mention, I'll just say now, Abe's is very squishy and hard to form, get into a nice form. When it cures, it's super. It's like rock hard basically. But like I said, it doesn't have very good substance to it. So, but by mixing with the green stuff or Procreate, it basically has the consistency of a putty, but it will cure a little faster and rock hard. So yeah. Otherwise, you can still file green stuff, but it's rubbery and hard. But this is that mix, so it basically is files very easily. So.
I think Ananda asked you a question.
All right, so Chris is gonna do just a little dude with a sword. That's a good place to start. Keep it simple and get something under your belt. All right, Ananda, Tom, I know you've been playing around with ZBrush and such. Have you heard of the Kickstarter for the OLO 3D printer? I have not. I used to keep up on. There's been a lot of 3D printers going up on Kickstarter over the years, and I used to work with a guy that always seemed to find them and showed them to me, but I haven't seen that one. Let me go look at it real quick. OLO 3D printer. Thing about these, I love them, and I want to get one for my own home and personal use. Not necessarily a super fancy and expensive high resolution one, but it's just so neat. It'd be neat to have access to one. So let's see what this one's about. Oh my, they made a lot of money. So let's see, how does this one set up? Transform your smartphone into a 3D printer. That sounds cool. Smartphone user. What in the world? How does this thing work? Okay, it's a little tiny box. I might have to hit the video. Okay, so the data is can do it through your smartphone. New 3D technology. Play the video disc. Okay, let's see how it works. It's only a minute long. This looks like magic. Oh wow, you actually put your smartphone in it? Okay. So I've seen a printer similar to this before, larger. So it looks like it has a film of material, and this platform slowly pulls up, and it hits probably with some sort of light the material and forms this piece. That's pretty sweet. Wow.
That's wild.
Crazy. Yeah, essentially looks like it looks like it's magically pulling the piece up out of a pool of liquid. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna star this. I'll have to read that up on that a little more. That is cool. Yeah, I don't, man, you see, I know 3D printing, people say it still has to come a ways, but every day there's people coming up with new ways to do it and miniaturizing it, and it's becoming more and more affordable. I don't think it's going to be that long before we start seeing more of that in the home. That is pretty cool. What am I doing? Oh, I just looked at that and watched that and forgot to show it to everybody. So, okay, there it is. So, let's see. $100, yeah, that's really cheap. pretty cool. So, what are you gonna start sculpting, Ananda? Have you started sculpting anything specifically yet? Ooh, I also want to tell you guys that a buddy of mine has made a little forum. We're testing it out still, but basically we're trying to make a little sculptors community for people to come and share tips, tricks, and um, definitely to show off what they're doing and stuff. So I will be sure to let everybody know when that goes up, and because that's one thing I would really like to do is try and start having a place where we can everybody can showcase what they're working on and yes, have a chance for us all to see and keep each other inspired. All right, let's see. Okay, I thought you wrote something else. You've been practicing making armatures and working with putty. That's good. Putty takes some time. That's why it is good to learn. I don't use it exclusively, and I don't use it for the majority of my work, but I sculpt with putty a lot still in the grand scheme of things. So it's a very good skill to have. There's always going to be little bits, little things you want to add on after the fact, and it's just easier to do it with putty. So, Ananda says, Hero Forge printed a friend's mine's character, and I'm figuring how to make it more substantial. Cool. How did those come out, those Hero Forges? They look pretty cool. It seemed like a pretty neat service. Have quite an extensive little library. It's go and pick all the features you want in the character and then hit buy and they print it out and send it to you. That's cool. All right. So what else is going on, Rich?
Oh, that's it. No, not sleeping much. That's what else is going.
Yeah. I'm finally getting back on a good schedule myself. But... That's the only way to get more time, it seems, usually, huh?
Yeah, I don't have a choice. I gotta squeeze it in. I have a busy day, but...
Oh, where is my notepad? I had a couple things I was going to bring up, topics I did to fill time. We haven't had to, but I wanted to just mention a couple things since I'm on here with patrons and see what you guys think. So, it says apparently you can get different levels of Hero Factory figures. Yeah, the higher res prints that I've gotten and seen are very nice, but they are more fragile. What's this video? Oh, is this the wax? Cool.
Yeah, the one I was mentioning earlier.
Check that out a little bit. This is the CX5. Cool. One of my fellow sculptor actually lives here in Indianapolis. I'm going to try and get on for an interview. His name is, man, I almost said his name wrong. Derek Miller. He sculpts miniatures in wax. He used to be and still is an action figure sculptor. So I think that'll be a pretty cool interview and definitely a different perspective. So it's actually funny. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you about that because I never. Until I started messing with larger miniatures, I hadn't heard anything about wax.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if people use that for miniatures. I never saw that before.
Yeah, I don't. I have some friends that have experimented with it, but except for Derek, I don't know anybody that has used or started off by using what's it called, wax with miniatures. But I've seen his stuff and it came out great. But I mean, he's also been doing it for years and is a
Mhm.
master of it, in all its forms. So, but I mean, obviously anything can work. He has to do a resin master before he can send it off to regular metal production mold or anything like that. So that's definitely a thing with the wax, is you have to do that. But other than that, it has some good things. Like you said, if you leave it be, it firms up, but you can warm it up at any time, and it becomes workable again, which that's a pretty cool property to have.
Mhm.
So okay, so I was as I was posting about this Hangout and stuff the other day, I realized, it just kind of hit me, that we were actually really close to the first goal on the Patreon page. So, and that is that I'm going to sculpt an entire miniature, a fan art miniature, basically. And I have some ideas, but I just wanted to give you guys some opportunity to throw out some suggestions if you had something to think. So I'm thinking like something pop culture, video game. Um, I'll give a hint. Some of my personal ones I was thinking about doing were some iconic Nintendo characters, because I'm just surprised you don't actually see many miniatures of that. So it'd be cool if I had a miniature of one of those. But anyways, so that was a thought I was having. But
For the other, uh, for Chris and Ananda, do you guys do any like drawing or stuff like that?
drawing red can help. It's at least for me, the biggest thing that I like about it. I like to concept my figures before I start sculpting. Some people just bust them out. Obviously, either works, but if you find yourself lingering on your sculpt, I would suggest just trying. Even if it's not a good drawing, it doesn't have to be awesome, but it can help you figure out what you want to be or to have on the piece. Where'd my ruler go? Here it is.
Yeah, for those four miniatures I did, I always need a drawing.
Mm-hmm.
It just for myself. It not just with sculpting, but pretty much like anything I'm doing. Like even if I'm 3D modeling a character in Maya or Max or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes it so much easier because I don't have to spend any time figuring something out because I guess I've done it in the drawing.
Right.
But for these miniatures, I did do sketches of them, but the sketches were extremely loose and rough, like almost scribbles, simply because of time. I just haven't time. But even still, I still needed a little something to go on to get me started. And I ended up changing from what I sketched. Like you would never know that those are the same, but
Mm-hmm.
I really like having a sketch to work from.
Let's see. Oh, so are you guys on? Oh, let's see. What's it? Oh, you think Ananda says he thinks better in 3D. Yeah, that's a good way to do it too, is to sketch in clay. A lot of people do that too, and maybe it's because I started out drawing. Maybe that's why it's easier for me to still hash things out that
I think
way.
that's the same for me.
Yeah. But there is something about that's actually helped me get faster with sculpting is to kind of take a sketch mentality where you don't, especially since I started working in clay versus putty, is just you just start putting material on the piece and press it on. You don't even worry about smoothing it all out. You just get the volumes there and the elements in place, and just let it be scratchy. And once you get everything built up a lot more, then you can worry about going back and smoothing and stuff. But it's a great way to get it done quickly, and it can get a lot of energy into the piece too when you work that way.
That's a good point.
I made this hand a little too long. There we go. Okay. What social medias are you guys on that you tend to use or you think is worthwhile? I've been thinking about trying to post on some more, like possibly Instagram or Tumblr, um, like daily or every few days, kind of shoot what I'm working on with sculpts and show things off. But I'm kind of a neophyte. Yeah, Twitter's what I mean, I'm on them all and stuff, but I've never been good about using them, at least for myself. Like I'll consume on them, but yeah, I'm on Twitter and Facebook by extension, but it's always hard to figure out a good place to go.
Everyone keeps telling me Instagram.
Yeah,
So
seems
I
like
made
there's a
an account
lot
on
of
it.
people on there.
I haven't posted anything on it.
Yeah. Well, I'll give that a try then. I think Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram all, well, obviously Facebook and Instagram, I keep forgetting they're owned by Facebook, but they all integrate. So I guess that would be a pretty easy one to add on because then I post in one place and it shoots everywhere, basically. Then I guess I don't have to worry about which one I'm doing because it's doing all of them.
I'm in the same boat as you, Chris. I rarely use actually any of them.
I'm mostly on them just if I need to get in contact with somebody I know.
Right, exactly.
We probably sound like a bunch of old dudes now or something. But no, we're too busy sculpting. We don't have time. We don't have time to post on social media.
Yeah.
Let's see. So what do you guys want to see next for the channel? I mean, obviously there's the I've got the master list that people are putting their votes in for and stuff. But is there anything in particular or any ideas that you think would be cool or to see? Anything you've been waiting for me to do? Character design from initial sketch to finish. Yes, that's I'm excited to do that too. I actually would love to get into a groove where I could do that more regularly, like every couple months have a little series where I've got a whole figure from start to finish again. And so that's a great suggestion. And that's yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for sure when we hit this goal. But I might jump the gun and do something like that beforehand if that
Yeah,
takes a
I think
while.
that's definitely the one of the next things you should do.
Cool. All right. Tutorials are fun and everything, and I will always do them and can always do them, but it is very helpful to just see the whole process. I mean, even if it's again and again and again, as each figure is always a little different, and you end up seeing something handled a little differently, or it just reinforces it. So, okay, I'll definitely put that on my list. How's the sound been on this one tonight? I got a different mic set up this time.
Your sounds fine to me.
Okay, good. Everybody said they could hear fine, but I was hoping it was better because. There we go. You doing anything interesting at work, Rich?
Uh,
That you can talk about? Probably not.
or that I want to talk about. I'm actually. I mean, it's interesting. I do some modeled 3D. I'm modeling medical devices
Oh,
and
cool.
doing I actually am doing some 2D. I get to do 2D and 3D stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, in between the medical devices, they have me doing a character for some I don't know, some event they have, so they wanted a superhero character to represent the product or whatever. So I concepted up this superhero character for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it always starts out a little interesting, but then the projects turn into nightmares because they go on and then
Yeah.
so many changes and some of the things they want are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't make
Your
any
your company
sense.
does contract work for different places.
Yeah, and and then you get too many cooks in the kitchen, and
Mm.
by the end of the project, I literally hate whatever it was I was working on. It's like I never want to look at it again. And the worst thing about this one is I just finished up the superhero stuff, and it was a whole ton of stuff. I've been
Oh.
working on this for a good couple of months. And they're like, hey, they love the superhero stuff so much, they're now adding more superheroes. It's going to be a whole like Justice League kind of thing
Oh
now.
wow.
So the drawback is that we end up doing a good job, and then we give us more work. So I mean, I guess it's good to be busy working, but
Mm-hmm.
it sucks when all day I'm like, oh, I want to get home and do some sculpting.
Yeah. Um, Ananda, no, this is my old PVC pipe rig, which I use for whenever I'm like, um, I guess I could have set it up for here, but I wasn't. So it's easier to show what's on this table when I use this rig. I'll show you real quick. I do have it set up though. Let me show. There was my headphones. This is it right here. Got it. I need to. Eventually, I'll probably get a better setup because right now it's bolted to the leg of this table, and so I really like sculpting with it because I can sit back very comfortably and in my natural, sculpting position. But I cannot touch the table because this thing's stable, but it does take vibrations. So I might end up getting a different one eventually. But I think if I can just get a freestanding thing to mount this to, it will be even better. But it does work, and yeah, you guys should be seeing that in some of the videos coming up. So pretty excited about that because it'll allow me to do a lot more involved sculpting videos and get better detail and everything. Because the way I had it set up before, it was actually it could be painful to sculpt for extended periods of time because it was just unnatural, and I couldn't get quite as close as I needed to make sure I was putting in good details. That's why some of the I don't know, maybe it doesn't look that way, but to me, some of the stuff I was doing looked a little rough, and I would sometimes cut the camera and fix something and then go back on camera. Wow, that's funny. Yep. Cool. So any last questions or comments or anything anybody's wants to talk about or before we go?
Mm, no.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm very excited that 3 people were able to join this time. I think we had 3 last time, but it seemed like everybody had no issues getting in this time, which was
Yeah.
awesome. That made me very excited because every time I do this, I'm just terrified that it's gonna become that nightmare that was that one time. So yeah, we will definitely. Let's see. Wait, holding swords are still fine, right? Yep. Able to hang out with it. Well, it's we could do that. No, so I'll post in the in Patreon about the next hangout. I'm thinking I'm gonna give myself a 1 day break, mostly actually because I need to finish this putty video. But yeah, we will do it sooner. It just crept up on me this, the end of the month crept up this time. But yeah, we'll do it sooner, and I'll probably end up doing 2 hangouts this month. One kind of like we're doing now, regularly scheduled, in the evening, good for Americans or North Americans and South Americans. And then I'm going to do another one probably on the weekend and earlier in the day to try and allow European people to get involved too. So
Yeah, I saw you mention that in one of the comments. I thought that was a really good idea.
yeah, I've been wanting to, and now I have the time to do it. So I'm very excited to do that, and love to talk to more of them face to face. Cool. We'll definitely do that. There's something else I was gonna say. I can't remember what it was. About the times. Oh well. Maybe it'll come. Oh, tomorrow's April Fool's. That's what I was thinking. I might have a special video go up tomorrow. We'll see. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on Patreon, and I'll see you on the next Hangout.
All right. Take care, Tom. Nice meeting
You
you,
too,
Chris and
Rich.
Amanda.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Take care.